Hi, I'm Campbell from Metal Form Tow & Farm. Today I'm going to show you how to remove the wheel on your tow and mow. You may need to do this if you have a puncture and need to take it to be repaired. Okay, so the tools that we're going to need today is a flat bladed screwdriver, a hammer and a socket with a 24mm socket attached to it. Also you'll be requiring a piece of wood, ideally around 800mm long. Okay, so the first thing to do when removing the wheel is to remove the dust cap. This is the dome-shaped cap which is pressed into the hub of the wheel. The easiest way to do this is to take the piece of wood we mentioned earlier and sit it on here, hold it up on a bit of an angle and just give it a tap with the hammer. Then go to 90 degrees of where you first tapped it and give it another small tap. Repeat the process once more from the top. Now what we've done in this step is to actually open up the gap in here so you can easily get a screwdriver into it. So taking the flat bladed screwdriver, just lever the cap and it will come off quite easily. Don't hit the cap directly with the hammer because you will dent it, but if you use a piece of wood then you won't damage the cap and the job's quite easy. Okay, in this next step we're going to need two pieces of wood and a 24mm socket. So with the first piece of wood, place this underneath the rear of the mower body and wind the height adjuster handle until the body of the mower is lowered right onto the piece of wood. The wheel should spin freely at this stage. Now we can use the 24mm socket to undo the wheel nut. And now, using the piece of wood we mentioned earlier, put it behind the axle bar and on the top of the tyre and just push back and forward until the wheel is free. Now the wheel can be removed. Okay, once you've fixed the puncture, we can now refit the wheel. You'll notice that the valve stem is only on one side of the wheel. There's not a duplicate valve stem on the back side. So you want to fit the valve stem facing outwards so you can easily inflate the tyre at a later date. Taking a little bit of grease, if you have some available, it's a good idea just to put grease on the bearing surfaces. All this does is makes it easier to remove the tyre at a later date if you have to do this job again. So simply slide the wheel on. There's a spacer tube between the bearings. If it won't go on, put your finger inside and make sure this is aligned with the bearings. Make sure then it will slide on easily. The next component to fit is the washer. Stick that on and then put the nylock nut on and tighten it by hand to the end of the nylock. Now we can take the 24mm socket and do the wheel up. Once it's done up, just make sure that it spins nice and freely like so. The last job in the process is to fit the dust cap. It's important to note that you cannot bang the cap on the ends or else you'll dent it and damage the cap. Only ever hit the cap on the rim that's around the outside. So the easiest way to do that is to put the cap in on a slight angle with the bottom further in than the top. You can then tap evenly around the cap and fit it like so. The last stage in the process is to wind the machine up so you can remove the piece of wood. Okay, so that completes today's tech tip on how to remove the wheel on your tow and mow. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy mowing.